Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. It was a short work week, but boy, it feels long. So I'm really glad today's Friday. And I love nothing more when I'm feeling like a little stressed or just kind of not really inspired to make something. Swatching is a fantastic way to loosen yourself up. It's also a great way to get to know your watercolors and to kind of just play and see what happens. And this is kind of like my table here. I'm going to just kind of start with this, and I've got so many things I want to share. But one thing I do want to get out of the way, because remember 2 weeks ago when we did our ocean inspired colors, I have to tell you, I realized at that moment, this is the one that I demonstrated to you. Okay. See where I wrote, oops, this is wrong. What I had done, and I want to just share with you, I had showed you how to do these washes from light to dark. Well, actually, I thought it was kind of funky looking when I finished it, and I thought, what is wrong? Well, I realized it's actually from dark to light. So just if you're gonna, do some more ocean themes like this bird's eye thing, like I did that, you'll see here is the difference. I wanted you to know, so if you do light to dark, it looks this way. It's a little bit strange, even though it works kind of, but this is really the way that it looks wonderful. So I want you to know that when you're doing it, like I showed you last time, the only thing is to load your brush, have basically a wash of dark and then going into light as you go down to that part. Just wanted to let you know that yes, we all make little happy accidents. So I wanted to share with you in case you were having trouble. I wanted you to just kind of see what happened on my end and why you had trouble. It wasn't you, it was me. So, but let's go to
Two
yes.
things. Wanted to jump in. Kitty's here, so just wanted to let you know. She says hello.
Hi, Kitty. Hi,
Uh,
everybody.
I know, joined by all of our regulars. And then we have a question from Jamie, who was saying that she bought the Niji Essential set,
Mhm.
and she wanted to ask about her pan sliding around and kind of like falling out. So if you could address that in the video and just like kind of help out with how to bend the metal tabs to make
Oh
it
yeah.
in
Yeah,
place.
let's do this. Let's start with the set. So thank you for, that gets me, we can get started on a direction. So I have my 12 piece set, and I'm going to just show you when you see them new. This one I haven't opened yet. And I want you to just kind of see if when you get these sets, and these tins are very strong compared to some of them I've seen really, actually not only have I seen them, I've purchased them. They're just so flimsy, they dent real easy. These are not. These are really heavy duty. You're gonna have this chart. Keep this until you finished your swatching exercise, because this is where we get nerdy. This is where we find out what the pigment names are. And this is the only place it shows except on the package. But you can use this as your swatching template as far as getting the pigment names, transparency information, and the pigment numbers. So, but to the question that you had, so you've got this, it comes like this. And what's kind of cool is these things actually come out, if I can get it out. So there we go, it comes out. And you've got these little cubes or little pans. You can pull these little metal things out just a little bit, like so, to get them out easier. So you're not battling that. Now, if you find that they're too loose and they're just kind of sliding around, you can bend these things forward. Just take it and just bend it slightly forward. While probably when the pan's inside, I would suggest that, because otherwise it's kind of hard. You can snap them in. But to get your pans not to slide around so much, you can just bend these little guys forward, and that holds them in. So that's going to keep them from sliding. I think they will be looser once you take the little papers off. Like this one, you can see it's not really sliding around because I've bent these. Now I can bend them backwards if I want to pull them out easily. And if I wanted to slide another tray, I could. A little half pan if I had a favorite color. Actually, there is room in these let's say you had a color you love just dearly and you want to just stick another color. If you happen to have half pans already, you can just stick another half pan. There's room. Let me just show you what I mean. So I could stick another half pan right in there, and I've got more colors, but that's how you adjust that. So I hope that helps with that question. So these are very strong and very, you're able to get these little you move these little metal things back and forth, and that should give you plenty of, adjustability. You can do that with both sets, by the way. I'm going to leave this out like this, and I'm going to kind of go over basically the swatching thing that I usually do. When I first get any kind of paint, I usually do this, whether it be any brand, but for these, I found that it was really nice to have just a simple, you can do a freehand thing like this, just little circles, which I did today as well for this one. This is basically just making little circles, and I'm going to show you, we can do that together, but I want to show you other options as well. So let's say we go the route of swatch cards, which I believe Phoebe uploaded them today. Swatch cards being, you can either draw or trace your swatch squares. And I sent you, actually you've got something, it's a little PDF you can print out on your computer, and you just print it out, and then you can use it as a template. Like this is what I basically have, it's a PDF. It's the same size, it's sized to fit our 5x7 papers, these. So if you put the template underneath and traced it on either a light box or something like that, that's what I did with these, by the way. I just basically traced it using our little Detail Master pigment liner. I just use it, I traced it, and then I wrote the colors onto the card. I could also write the pigment numbers also if I want to. And the reason I wrote it beforehand, instead of waiting, or I didn't give a space to make to write the names. And the reason I did it on it, I thought, well, this is a good way to see how transparent the colors are. So putting it right over it, and that, tells me the transparency as well. We know that these colors in this set are perfectly transparent. That's why I picked those colors. These have some that have a little difference in transparency. None of them are opaque at all. Most of them are just semi-transparent or transparent. But this is a way to just do a real basic way to get to know your watercolors. So I've got that. So hopefully you can download those little PDFs and start swatching, and then just write down the information you need. Now there's other ways. I'm just going to share those with you before I start painting.
Yeah,
There's
and
a
then
little
also just
company.
to mention to
Yeah.
everybody, since Karen was just showing us the links to download those PDFs, I just added it to the pinned comment in the chat, so you could also just check them out there. And it's also linked in the discussion for this event, and then it's also on our blog page. So there's a few different places, but let me know if you need me to just send you the link directly. I can also do that.
Thank you so much. It was great. So very simply, if you don't have a printer and you just want to just do something, I've got another way to do it too. I just use this little quilting grid. It makes it really easy to make nice straight lines, and you just make, you can just take that and use your marker and then mark it off at every inch or whatever you decide. But these 5x7 cards are perfect for swatching. But if you like to swatch, like if you love to be nerdy like me, I love these kinds of things. I bought this little stamp set from Waffle Flower. That's the company. I don't think there's anybody else that makes anything like this, but they make these little cute swatching little swatching sets. And what was really cool is one of these, this one here. It's the whole thing. You get all these little swatch stamps, and this one had 24 perfectly, such cute little tiny things, perfectly for the studio sets. You've got 24, or if you want to just do half of it, you have 12 for your 12-piece set. What I liked about this is I was able to swatch fairly quickly, and I'll show you what I did today. I also tested staining qualities. This is something I like to do on all my watercolors, because I like to know, are they going to lift off, or are they going to stain on the paper? And it's really important to note that every paper is going to have a different sizing. So each paint, some of them will be staining in characteristic anyway, but some of them will stain less than others depending on the paper as well. There's a lot of variables. This little parts mixing thing that came with this was another Waffle Flower product. It just came with this 12 little swatch rectangles, which I thought was perfect for the Niji Essential mixing set. And it had this little mixing area here, and that's what I did to make little mixes, which is fun. This is what I did with the Niji Essentials. I was able to make fun, interesting colors by just combining opposites. So that was a fun, very meditative exercise where I took this color and this color, and that created this color. So the gamboge and ultramarine created a beautiful green. And the burnt umber and the phthalo, look at it, made it almost like a sort of a soft muted blue. Burnt sienna and beryllium made this really gorgeous olive green. And the alizarin crimson hue and sap green made this gorgeous brown. It was like, wow, how did I get that brown? But now I know. I can mix alizarin with sap and I get that gorgeous brown. The permanent rose and the indigo made this incredibly beautiful muted purple. And now I've got a record of that. So just kind of, it's kind of nice to get to know your watercolors that way. This one today, I'm just going to go through these and then I'm going to I just thought I'd swatch, and then I made a bookmark out of it by this, just swatching, and then just did some little doodling. So really swatching can be a final, you can make something out of your swatches. Just like this one, a few days ago, I think maybe last week, I made swatches of mixes with these little ovals, just ovals, like kind of around the paper. And then all those it just became as abstract because I started to just paint and make layers. So see how you can go really far, maybe too far, but it was really a good exercise. And also it was so relaxing to do. So I'm going to get started. Oh, and just one more thing, more swatching and color blends, and then they turn into doodle sort of exercises, which is another thing that's really fun. So I'm going to get started with a simple, this one here. This is the doodle flower thing. Before I get going here, one more thing. If you have lots of tubed watercolors and you just want to just have a small amount, I'm going to share with you this product that Yasutomo has carried for years and years. It's the best plastic palette you'd ever buy. The reason being, a lot of plastic palettes that you might buy have little plastic hinges. They fall apart every time within, how many uses it starts to fail, right? This has a metal pin, and that's very important. These palettes last for years and years. This one's a fairly new palette, but I have had palettes that I've had for 15, 20 years, and they are fantastic. Now, I did use some, I squeezed out some other brands here. I think it's Daniel Smith and some Renaissance Intense colors, and I swatched on top with a piece of watercolor paper, and then I just double stick tape to the top. So now I know what's in this palette. And another little trick that I notice, if you are doing any swatching, or doing something in a palette like this, sometimes the little pieces of paint want to fall out. They dry and they fall out. And one thing I have on hand is I always keep gum arabic, and basically it serves as a glue. So I was able to, some of the little pieces that want to fall out, I just put a little gum arabic at the bottom, put them back in, and they're good to go, and they stick. So I wanted to mention this YWP 800 palette, because if you want to have your own colors, or you already have your own tubed colors, by all means, squeeze them into this, and you've got a really nice travel palette that you've got lots of mixing surfaces and everything. So just wanted to give that a little shout out, because we forget about this sometimes, at least I do, and it's just a nice little thing. So today I'm going to just swatch a little bit, just kind of give you, I'll start with this one here, and I'm going to just do some basic swatching and some color mixing. But I'm just going to grab my fusion brush. This is the number, I think this is the number 4. It's a nice little brush. And when you're doing a swatch, you're going to take your color out and keep your colors as clean as they can be. If that's what you're doing, is just an initial swatch. And I'm not going to load my brush up too much. I'm just going to kind of have it loaded with a medium amount of color. And I'm just going to go here and do a little of this gamboge hue, which is a gorgeous yellow, and going to just go inside that square. Easy, right? Now, I could rinse my brush and kind of wash out as much color as possible. And I can actually pull some of the color from the right side just to give it a, kind of a lighter tone. So I've got a mask tone over on this side, and I'm going to pull some more color and put the mask tone on the left side. while it's still wet, and then just kind of drag it down so that it's lighter on the light side. So you have like the gradation and the light side. Now I am seeing this color soaks into the paper, so it doesn't have a lot of lifting qualities, I can tell already. But I've kind of lightened that area. You can see dark to light. So that's one way to do it. I'm going to take, instead of doing a normal swatch, I want to see what color combinations I can make. So I'm going to take that beautiful yellow, and then I'll swatch the phthalo blue right next to it on this side. And I'm just going to take I've got a medium amount of phthalo blue. Oops, I didn't go in the lines, but I don't, it's okay. Doesn't have to be perfect. But if you don't have a swatch template like this, just do it with a circle. You don't need to worry about having a template. Just make a circle with your brush. And this same thing, I'm going to take the color out, and I'm just going to pull out some of the color, if I can, out of this side. And then I'm going to keep that mass tone. It looks pretty good. There we go. Just pull it out there. So I've got these two colors. I want to just see what happens with them. I'm going to try swatching the permanent rose. And here, just putting that permanent rose in my little rectangle. And if you have a circle, make a circle or make a blob. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can just be just getting kind of the feel of how the paint feels and on your brush, and how, try to think about water control a little bit, not too puddly. You don't want to have too much, too much puddling going on. I'm going to put a little more pink here, rose, right there. I'm also going to just take out some more color just by pulling it up with cleaning my brush, wiping it off on a paper towel, and then just trying to pull up the color. See if I can get a soft pink color, which I'm able to, yeah. And then I'm going to try to see what I can mix. If I wanted to mix that permanent rose, let's say with I'm going to pick up that gamboge again, because I want to try mixing some colors, really fun color combinations, and see what happens. But I can go down the whole thing with it, whatever colors I want. And I'm just going to go here because I have so many things to show you. I'm going to take these two colors, I'm going to mix them together and put it in this little circle. You can do it on, just next to you on your paper, next to your, next to it. So I'm going to do a mix directly on the circle here. I'm going to put a little of this gamboge, and then I'm going to put a little phthalo blue, which is what that was. And I'm going to make a mix directly into my little circle. I can make them blend like this, or I can actually go ahead and try to mix them together, which I'm going ahead and see what happens. So now I'm going to see what that turns into. I can add a little more yellow, and I'm getting a really pretty, nice, brilliant green, which is what I was looking for.
Karen, somebody was asking, Elke was asking for the mask tone. Are you using a mask?
A mask or a mask tone. Are you talking, if she's talking about a mask tone, the mask tone being that concentrated side on the left side going into the graduated side. So a mask tone is basically the darkest, the deepest you can get. If that's what Elke, I'm hoping you were just saying that, Elke, because it's nice to see you. I don't see you, but I know you, so it's good that you're here. So is that the question you were asking?
Let's see if we addressed it. The question was mask tone question mark. So
mask tone. Now I don't know that term mask tone. I know mask tone, but like in this here, the wallflower swatch thing, they have a thing called, they have the mask tone, and then you have your gradient, and that's kind of mask tone being the darkest, deepest color you can get with the littlest amount of water. That would be a mask tone. So this here is a mask tone. What I have right there, that's the mask tone of that blue, the phthalo blue. I hope that makes sense. I hope.
I think so. Yeah. And then Chris was saying hello to you too, Karen.
Hi, hello. So I miss everybody that I haven't seen in a while. Phoebe knows the whole story, but I've got a lot I've been dealing with lately, and I'm just really glad that I can have this hour with everybody here. But we will, things will calm down. Things happen in life, and you just have to deal with them. So here is this. I've got the rose and that same gamboge. I'm going to just do the same thing. I'm going to put some color right in here. This is the permanent rose. I'm putting it in. This is what I want you to do, is just take your brush and make a little shape, whether it be within a circle, template or not, just in your, on your paper. And I could show you when I do the blobs, it's so much fun. Here's the gamboge, and I'm just gonna put it in there, and I could either have them blend or I can just move them together just to see what kind of gorgeous color I get. And I got this gorgeous, brilliant orangey, reddish orange, which is kind of what I was looking for. So you can get really nerdy this way and do lots of color mixes. And here's what I do with this, so I'll remember what I use. Okay, I'm gonna grab the littlest pen. Here we go. So this is new gamboge. I usually just say what it is here. So I'll have a record, and this is the phthalo blue. I'm spelling it wrong. And then I just put a little arrow over to that, knowing that's what I'll get with that. Same with this, permanent rose and new gamboge. You can do this with all kinds of color combinations just to see what you can get with the essential. There we go, there we go. So you got 1 + 1 equals, you can even do 1, this plus 1 equals, and you can have a really cute little swatch book. And you can save these in a journal, so you'll always remember this is the essential mix. So look how gorgeous. It's not dried yet, but I'm loving these colors with just these 3 colors. Now, that's sort of been my thing for years and years, is the 3 primary, the new primaries, and how many colors you can make with those new primaries, which is in this set. It's the phthalo blue, it's the new gamboge or gamboge hue, and it's the permanent rose. Those are your CMY colors, boom, boom, boom. But everything else here is transparent, so you can't make mud. Like I show here, you can make muted colors, pretty colors, but you're not making a dead muddy color. So that's really that's what I love about this set. That's why I love it so much. You can mix other, like the burnt embers or the burnt siennas. You're still going to get a gorgeous color, but if you want bright color combinations, use those 3. So that's kind of my take on this. Now, we also have indigo and Payne's gray. Those make great neutralizing colors. Same with burnt umber, burnt sienna, those will be warming. These are more cooling. Those burnt umber, burnt sienna will be warming. So you've got those. You also have this gorgeous viridian that makes incredible, let me show you. All I can just do is show you. The viridian is such a gorgeous blue on it, or green. It's kind of almost like a turquoise to me when I look at it. It's just on its own. It's a very pretty color. But if you wanted to warm it up, so let's say you want to add a little gamboge hue, you can make this incredibly yellow green that's insanely gorgeous. Almost matches the one that I made with the phthalo. And I'm going to take that same viridian. I'm going to make another little circle. Just kind of a medium amount of color in this circle. And I'm going to do something with, let's take that rose and see what happens. It's kind of these are complementary colors, but I'm going to show you what happens. It's going to make this really interesting, kind of a muted color. It's not a dead color. It's a very muted, kind of a bluish toned color. I'm going to take that same viridian. This is what's so much fun about just swatching and playing with colors. And when you want to start painting anything, either in your journal or representational, you have such a good knowledge of your colors that it's going to be incredible. This one, I'm going to take a little bit of, on the same family, I'm going to go into, the indigo. Let's just see what happens when you put indigo in there. And the indigo is just going to make a beautiful green, blue, deep sea green color. But so really all these colors, they're so pretty, are just going to dry fabulously. They don't have any granulation that I see, very, very little. But so we've kind of, swatched a little bit. And I'm going to take a plain piece of art paper, because if you don't have a swatch template, you certainly don't have to have it when you're doing this kind of thing. It's just for fun, for your, just getting to your colors. I'm going to take this one. I've worked on this a lot lately, but I haven't really given this one a lot of time, and I think it needs it. I want to show you all the gorgeous colors there and what we can do on just like a small piece of paper. So let's start with, I'm just going to go down the thing, and I'm going to take my lemon yellow, and I'm going to make a little blob. I'll make a circle shape. Kind of just maybe it's about 1.5 inches circle. And I'm going to go to the next color, my gamboge, which is repeated in the other set. And I'm just going to make a little kind of a mix, a blend of the two. I'm just going to let them kind of sit with each other. And maybe I'm going to take a little of this cadmium orange hue and put that in. Now, this is a good way to tell if your colors are spreading colors, or if they are, some colors spread with water and some of them just sit there. And I noticed that the gamboge likes to spread, and it also likes to make a little outline, it pushes its way. It's interesting how it pushes other colors out of the way as well. But I've got 3 colors sitting in that little circle. I'm going to take the red, my cadmium red, and I'm going to make another circle. And I'm going very light just to see what I get. And I get this really pretty soft pink when I just go light. And then I'm going to take some of my rose madder, which is right next to it. And I'm just going to put some rose madder maybe down in this spot. And I'm going to go to the next color because I'm just kind of going down the line. It's just relaxing. And I'm going to take this next color, permanent rose, and put it up at the top and just kind of let it marinate with the red. See what happens. I'm going to take the quinacridone magenta, which is a beautiful, that's actually my CMY color in this set. Quinacridone magenta is incredible. I'm going to mix it up with a little lemon yellow. No, I'm going to mix it with quinacridone gold, which is right down here. I need to mix it with that because I love quin gold with magenta. It's just so pretty. I'm going to put that together and we'll see what happens. It makes a beautiful, gorgeous, warm, orangey red color. I'm just going to put it in, not mixing it all, but just let it kind of move around in there. Okay, next color. Which one do I want? Purple Lake. Let's try that one. That's in here. And I make another little blobby thing, and it's not, I don't want it to be perfectly circular. So I'm going to, on purpose, I'm kind of making it a little off shape, just a little bit. It could be, just a little off, like a potato or something. There we go. And so I've got that mauve color, and I'm going to put the dioxazine violet, which is right next to it. And it's a very strong, can be overpowering color, but it's a gorgeous color by itself. I'm going to put a little ultramarine also in there because I'm just going to try to get all my colors in this one. If I can, I'm going to try to get them all in this one swatch. So this is the ultramarine. I'm just putting it in my circle. And it's fun to watch to see how these will dry and how they colors meander together, how they work together. And here I'm going to do the same with this ultramarine blue. I've got a nice little circle here. Not a circle, but kind of a circular shape. And I'm going to throw in some sap green just to see how it mixes up. And I'm noticing the sap green spreads a little. Interesting. Which I've never really tested this part. Sap green, I love it. And then I'm going to throw a little phthalo green, which is a really super strong green, also just to see what happens with that blue when I mix that green. And next, let's see what we got. I've kind of gone through this. I haven't gone through the cerulean blue yet. So I'm going to put the cerulean blue in a circle shape up here. And I'm trying to get more circles, so I hope to get that. And I notice when I'm working with the cerulean blue, you'll notice it doesn't dissolve as quickly as the phthalo or the ultramarine blue, and it's a gorgeous blue on its own. But I am going to do I'll make some Prussian blue with that, just for fun, see what happens, which is a very dark blue. It's got maybe it has black in it, I'm not sure. And then maybe I'll throw in, what the heck, let's see what we're going to put in there. Maybe some turquoise, because that's next to it. Oh, that's Prussian blue. I just committed to Prussian blue again, so now here's the turquoise. All right. Okay. So there's a noise outside. It's my car being delivered to the house. It got totaled last Friday. So it's coming home. The car is coming home. We'll have our car back. All right, so there it is. I've kind of lightened it up a little just to see what happens. I might even throw in a little quinacridone magenta in there just to see what I can do. There we go. Just to see if I can get a nice purple out of that. Now this one, I'm going to take a warm color, which I always ignore those warm colors. Why, I don't know. But I'm going to take some burnt sienna because I've pretty much gone through all these. I'm going to make another circle. Oh, this is quinacridone. So then on top of that, there we go. Take the burnt sienna next to it and just kind of put that in my little quinacridone circle, and maybe some burnt umber next to that, and see what happens. And I'm loving what's happening already. I love these little fun little blends that are happening. And as they always look different when they dry a little lighter, they have an edge. And depending on the paper you have, everything is so variable. And that's that's why I love watercolors. Putting a little bit of orange in this one too, just to see.
And Karen, for the Niji Artist watercolors, we don't have actual light fast ratings on these. The instruction sheet does have the transparency and permanence information.
Yeah.
But someone was asking if these are light fast. Did you ever, I can't quite remember, did you ever do like a like casual light fast test?
Yeah, these are light fast in the sense that there's no dyes in them. Some will fade. I mean, light fast test, when you do it properly, the blue, with the blue wool scale, there's light fastness over time. And no, these are considered light fast. There's no, there's no fugitive pigments in it. I'm surprised that we didn't put that information on there. It is available. I'm sure we can get it, because this company that we go through has it's professional watercolor. So they do have light fast test ratings. We could probably get that. But on my own,
I did ask the factory. They don't have light fast ratings on these.
Okay, so we can do. Well, I can do a more formal test because I've done these in the past. But my informal test shows that these are light fast. As long as you do it, expose them in the normal way. Like, they have to be light fastness. There's many variables. It depends on how much UV light you expose it to. If you leave it in the bright sun for a certain amount of time, there's going to be some fading, but almost, most colors, if you do it like that, will over time. So I mean, yes, they're light fast in this normal art supply world. They're light fast. But I'll do some more for fun. I'm going to do a formal one, but if you want to do it at home too, you can do this. You can swatch out your colors, and I would use actually. Where is that? Oh, there it is. Okay, if you do this using the chart that I gave you, this 24 color studio set chart, swatch out your colors like the way I have it here. So, there we go. Let me just show you. So here's how I would do it. In fact, I might even use this as mine. So I'm going to take the lemon yellow, and I'm just going to do a medium size, like a mess tone, pretty much mess. Like give it a good amount of color in your little swatch area. And what I'm going to do with this one is I go every other one so they don't bleed together, because it's still very wet. So I'll go to the next color, cadmium orange, and then I'll just come back when that layer has dried. And I'm going to go in here and just do it like this. And then what you do is, after you've filled the whole card in, everything is completely dry. If you have a piece of masonite or something like a thick piece of wood, I would say a tempered masonite would work really well, like a 1/4 inch or more piece of masonite. You can divide your you basically divide your card into, I don't have my boards, but you divide it in half this way with the cover completely one side. Same with the other side, cover it completely with your masonite, block the light completely. You might have to sandwich it and clamp it with something. Like, let's say after this, I'll divide it and I'll clamp it or keep it so that there's no light coming through to the other side. And then you take your card and you can expose it to direct or indirect. I would say a north facing window in this right now, north facing window. So you can just put it in your window and you leave it for 3 weeks to a month. And don't lift it. The blue wool test is different. They lift it every week and give you different levels. The informal way is to do it for 3 weeks to a month in that window with the completely blocking the light. And then you'll be able to see if there's any fading or shifting that will happen. Most likely there may be a little shifting in some of the colors. I don't know, maybe. I can't really tell you which ones. I don't think there'll be much, if any, but this is a good way to test. And I really don't think you'll be surprised at how nice these colors are. Look at these, look how pretty these are, that they've dried. And I hope that helped. I hope that helps with that, because if you want to get answers to a light fast test right now, that's the way I would do it. And I'll do that with these, so that you, maybe in 3 weeks time, I can give you the answers that you're, instead of you having to do it. But I'll do that with this swatch card. But if you're like me and you're curious, this is how I did it years ago when I worked at an art supply store. That was my first job before I started working for Yasutomo. I worked at the art store, which is now, it's been bought by other companies, but that's what I did as an it's just as a curious person. I ordered blue wool testing kits from a company that used to manufacture them, and I light fast tested everything in the store. Everything I could possibly light fast test, I did. And it was really a very enjoyable and very enlightening experience. So I learned that, pigments basically are going to have a good degree of light fastness, which dye-based things don't. And that's why I stay completely away from dye-based anything, because it's so fugitive. Alcohol inks are fugitive because they have a dye base. Pigment-based products don't. That's why we have this. We have these now. These will not fade because they are pigment-based. So that's kind of like how we go with that. So here's this little circle thing. Now, if you wanted to do one that's a little more whimsical, where you take your swatches and go a little more freeform than what I did. I kind of was just a little much like that. I'm going to just do some freeform stuff, and I'm going to do it kind of like the way I did with my with this other little thing, this one that I did the other day. Is I just kind of made just something out of the tray. I wanted to try like little color combinations. Just wanted to see how things went. How does it work? How do these colors work together? And then I started to just make a little, I'm trying not to be too circular, and I seem to be getting circular here. Just made little color swatches, and I'm going to just make little oblongs. And that's kind of how I did this. Is I just wanted to play and see what I can get. I'm going to put some orange with that purple and see what I get. I don't normally do that, but that's kind of a very opposite color. And you can do that and create yourself kind of a little swatch card of blobs and shapes. And they can be asymmetrical and funny shaped. And you can kind of change the opacity, or not opacity, change the concentration of color that you put in. I'm kind of going pale on these. Just play, make some shapes, and don't worry about the perfection of that, because you're really going to connect these eventually. And this is a fun way to get to know your watercolors too. And you're swatching also. And then you get to just kind of find out what your colors do and how they behave with each other, and how strong they are, how quickly they dissolve in the tray. These are all variables that you like to know. And this is something that, as a watercolor experimenter, you get to know them so much better, and then you'll have something fun to play with too. So I've got this. I think I'm going to do another kind of a funny shape over here, maybe another potato shape. I'm trying to make a potato shape. Pink potato, that's what I've got. Flying pink potato right there. And then I can throw a little burnt sienna, because I want to see how that works. Well, that's the burnt sienna. I want to see, I keep going to that quinacridone. There's the burnt sienna. And I want to just see how those two work together. So I'll have that. But I've got this little thing going. And maybe even just do a little meridian, or that beautiful green. I think that's phthalo green. It's a gorgeous green. And I've got sort of a start. And once I let that dry, I'll do one more over here. I can't stop. I keep filling it in. There. Now I've got like this little planet thing going on, or rocks, or whatever they are. And I like to turn my paper around too, just to see what else I can fill in. Here's another one. And I'm just going to kind of fill in areas and just get a feel. Now, then when that dries, I can now do other things. I could make layers. I can try washes over these. And like, this is what happened with this one, turned into something like this. And how that happened was I started to, I think I connected it with these little doodled lines using my little this number 1 brush. I just made little lines. And then after that, I started to fill in with just the indigo and the Payne's gray. That's kind of what that dark area all around it is. And then I went after the whole thing was done. I took some white paint and I just made these little white marks, and that's basically that. So that's kind of what I'll probably do with this, because it's so much fun to just kind of do that. Or you can make doodles around. There's so many ways to just have fun with making swatches and then going from there. Now, another thing I want to do, I'll let that dry because you really can't do anything with it while it's still wet. And this one, I could cut out, I could make little shapes. I could do some glazing or layering over them. And what I mean by glazing is after this is dry, I can try another layer over it and I can see what happens. And that's always another good exercise. And I wanted to do something fun because, we want to have something fun just to have. And a swatching exercise, you can make like this fun little bookmark. You can also write the color names if you want into it, but I just made this abstract kind of bookmark. And what I did with that, you can do it with the shapes. You can do this with however you want to do this, but it's so much fun. I masked off a piece of paper and just with a little kind of lift a little border. I'm going to try, I'm going to go back to the number 4. Seems like the 4 I use a lot. I'm going to do like a gradient of color, starting with the lemon yellow. And I'm just going to take it and go from edge to edge, just a straight little thing here, just like that. And I'm trying not to make it perfect. I'm going to go to the next color, which is the gamboge. This is just a nice way of swatching. And also you can see how they blend together. I'm going to take it and go right below it, but I'm going to just let it barely touch the yellow and see what happens. Now I'm going to take my orange, cadmium orange, and I'm filling it up pretty good. And I'm going to go below it like this. And then I'm going to touch it to that last swatch. And this is just going to go down the thing this way. Cadmium red. I'm going to go right straight, just a straight amount, and then I'm going to just touch that orange with it. And so I've got that. So I'm getting this interesting blend, and it'll be interesting to see how they work together. This is the Rose Madder hue. Now, hue being because it's a variation. It's to look like the original Rose Madder, which is a more expensive pigment, and the hues is just a combination of pigments to make a color very similar. So it's just a little way to cut costs, and that's why this isn't as expensive as a professional watercolor, because it has that, the hues instead of the original pigments. Just letting those blend here. Some of the colors look so similar when you blend them like that. And the Quin Magenta, it's going to be a nice bright color. I love that color. And I'm just going to blend it with the other. And so I'm making this fun little blend. So that's one way you could do it. Or you can do it, separate them like this one. I separated it by just a little hairline and they didn't blend together at all. And I got a really pure color swatch that way. But I think it's fun to try different ways. This is the Purple Lake. Pretty much these colors blend together very nicely anyway. There's no opaque colors in these sets. That's something I learned, that opaque colors are like gouache is an opaque watercolor, which is extremely opaque. It's great, but I am attracted to the transparent colors because the colors blend on the paper and the white of the paper is the white instead of trying to mix it with white paint. It's just kind of a different way of approaching painting. And so the purple's looking good. So we've got this beautiful rainbow gradient. And just by going along the palette, not trying to create anything. It's very relaxing because I'm not thinking of what color do I have to put down next. It's right there in front of me. And I like that. Sometimes it's just good to just have it figured out for you. And this one, I don't think I'm gonna get through the whole thing, which is kind of funny because maybe it shouldn't. Maybe it just needs to be down to the greens. This is the phthalo. Phthalo is so strong and it dissolves so quickly. And I'm hoping I'm hoping that you're just swatching your colors, whatever you have, and trying different things with them, because sometimes that's just all you need to do, just to relax and create, just kind of open up your creativity and learn about your watercolors. And that's the thing, people feel so intimidated with watercolors, but if you just kind of keep doing this kind of stuff, you'll get to know them and they'll be your friend. They won't be your foe. And your paper is your friend too. So most important thing is have good paper, good watercolors, and good brushes. I think those three elements, you don't want to, as far as I'll go on that. You really don't want to cut corners too much. So that's why this set here is reasonably priced for what you're getting. The brushes here, oh my gosh, are reasonably priced, and the performance is really very, very good.
Aaron, somebody was asking about fine detail brushes. Could you show like the size 1 just to show them what that's?
Yeah.
That
Okay, so let's go with this little guy because I'm going to start doing some fun little things. So now I'll let that dry and we'll see what it looks like. This brush is a wonderful little brush. You can see how fine it is, and I'm going to just do I'm going to do some stuff. Of course, it's good when you're doing things like this to do it with just kind of relax. I'm going to use some indigo here and maybe some of that blue. And I'm going to show you the lines that it can make. I can either doodle or, let's see, maybe I'll do it with this one since I'm already in the doodle mode here. This one, it's pretty dry. I'm just going to grab some paints. This is the indigo and a little bit of the blue. And I'm just going to make some doodles. And this one, I think with this one, I'll start maybe with a little, this is where I have to think. Just make sure it's dry. That's dry. Okay. So lines, I'm going to make some lines here, very fine little lines. I'm going to kind of make this look like it's a rock that has ropes or string around it. See how nice and see that nice little line? I might have to bring the camera up closer, but see how nice and thin that is? And I can get really thin. I don't know if you could see that. Yeah, I love this brush. For a fine line brush, because I bought rigger brushes and detailers. This one holds a lot of water and it gives you that extremely fine line. You can use this with white or gold, white ink. That's actually how I made these white lines, is with white ink and this brush. So you know that you get some really nice fine detail with it. So you've got that. Let's go another. Now all of a sudden I feel shaky. So when that happens, I usually stop making lines unless I like the wonkiness of that line. There we go. Yeah, so that's the first doodle on that one. And then I could take this one and do another doodle, maybe using the Payne's gray a little bit more warm and mixing that with some of the green. So I'm basically getting a shadow version of that. And this one, I think I want to just do it with this fine little thing. I'm going to start a spiral and I'm going to go inside the center. And I'm just going to kind of go out. I'm going to show you how much this holds. See how I'm doing? I hope you can see this, but I'm making the spiral shape like that. And I loaded the brush up once and I got this nice fine line, which I think is really, really fun. And I can make little tiny marks with this as well. So this one, I'm going to add some Payne's gray, but also some orange. I want to see what I get. Get this pretty interesting brown color. And this one I'm going to do maybe just some little, let's see what I want to do. Make little marks, like little hatch marks. I don't know, they're just like little marks. So this is the versatility of this brush. but it makes a fine line. And if I wanted to make something a little more bold, see if I can do that in a minute here. Since I've started this part, I'll just finish this part. Just making marks in that just to kind of make it interesting. Now I'm going to try it with this same brush to make a leaf shape. I'm going to do it on over here, right in there. So I'm going to take that. That's the green. I'm going to use the hooker's green. I guess that's what that is. And I'm going to see if I can make a leaf shape by just pressing down. So I'm going to take the brush on the side and then I'm going to just, oh yeah, see, I'm able to make that beautiful leaf shape right there. So I am able to get some kind of shape out of that. So here we go. I'll mention it. I'll show it again. A great exercise, by the way, is to take your brushes, any brush you get. If it's a brand new brush, you want to just see what it can do. You can take it and then put it on a, just press down and then lift and press down. And that way you can see what kind of shapes you can get out of it. So here I've got a very fine line, up, lift up, down. These are just little exercises that you can try. And then you can use those as also as doodle shapes. I love that. So there, so that, I hope that shows you the performance of this little brush. And I've been using this brush for a while. It's holding up really well. The bigger, the different sizes, we've got 4 different sizes. We've got a 1, 3, 2. What do we have? I forgot what we have. Phoebe.
Yeah, they come in 5 sizes. There we go. I think that actually is the 5 sizes.
I think I did it. Yeah. Oh, which one's this one? Okay. That one is a number 1. I got 2 number 1s. Okay. So there are the 5 sizes. And what I love about these, I'm going to just grab this. Where we go? This watercolor block here. And I'm going to show you. We'll start with the little one because the little one's the baby one. We'll start with that. I'm going to make leaves because sometimes that's what I, when I'm just relaxing, I like to make leaves or circles. All right, so here I'm loading it up with the green and I'm going to just do a leaf and I'm going to do the same stroke on all of them. So here I'm going to start with a thin and I'm going to lay it down and I'm going to bring it back up. That's that one. So that's how I, with this brush, that's what I can get. I'm just going to leave it like that, go to number 2 and load it up with the same color. Just try to get what's in my tray. And I'll do the same thing. So the lightest stroke possible, press down. And you can see I didn't load much. I didn't load it with enough color. So I got this dry thing. So I'm going to try it again. There's that. And then, okay. So this number 2 does this. The number 1 is like really exciting because it gives me that really nice fine line and then a kind of a lay down. But that one is just a different kind of brush. So number 3, let's try number 3. And all of your brushes, because they're handmade usually, I mean, I don't know if they're not handmade, but I don't know of any brush I've ever gotten in the same series, the same size, same brand. There's never 2 exactly alike. I've never, ever in my history of my life, ever gotten an exact replica of one brush to the other. It's just the way, the nature of it. So, you can buy several of the same and they'll be different. So there is that. I lay it down and I very responsive. You see how nice response here with this nice shape I'm able to get. And I'm going to take the number 4. And you'll also notice too, when you get a new brush, it takes time to condition it and get it kind of broken in. So you'll notice differences after a period of time. Well, this one I'm loading up and I'm going to do the same thing. Just press down and then lift up. So we've got that beautiful shape. And then finally the 5th. And then I'll do the same. Here we go. And then press down and then lift. Oop, I somehow, I shouldn't do that. Never hesitate. There we go. I'll do it again. There we go. So this, I'm able to get a leaf shape, but I really love the number 1 the most. Isn't that funny? And then you can just, if you want to do a little exercises like that, you can join your, to create a leaf shape, you can create that second stroke to create the second part of the leaf. And these are all great practices for you to try just to, get familiar with your watercolors. Here, I'm going to do a second stroke on that one. And a second stroke on this one. And that's giving me a full leaf because these are half leaves. That's kind of how I do my leaves, is I just do like a half side, the one side, and then I do the other afterwards. There we go. So now I've got a full sheet of leaves, and I can doodle on those later because that's a very fun little page actually. And this one I will keep going on and doing little doodly things, and I don't know what I'll do. I may do something kind of like this. So like this one, you just basically make little marks inside, and at the same time I've got to know my watercolors a lot more. And this one I'm going to show you how it looks with the tape off. It's always fun to see tape come off. And I could have done some more doodling with it, but I just wanted to see what this grit, this nice blend looks like. A little curious. Can always retape it and do some other things if I want, but I just think it's really pretty like that. I really do. Just clean, it just changes everything, and I can make that a nice bookmark. Put some words maybe on the back, and yeah, when I read, I can have a pleasant bookmark to do this. This looks like a landscape. If you see this, I don't know if you noticed, but it looks like little trees. So I may do a little doodling with some trees in that. I think that would look really cool, like a endless landscape. And that one is that, and I think I've got everything covered, unless anyone has any questions.
I think we're good. But a lot of people did just comment that they really loved the demo. They found it really helpful too that you showed off the brushes at the end. So thank you. I think that was really useful. But yeah, I think we're doing great.
I'm so happy to hear that. Yeah. So people just, I would love it if there was a way that you could share your work, because I have seen some people on Instagram that share their work after they have done a thing with us, and it's so cool to see. So if you did create something from today's demo, if you could share it, tag Yasutomo, tag me, and we'll be able to see it. Because I think just a hashtag doesn't work. I think you have to tag the person, so that, yeah, tag the person, and then we'll be able to see it. That'd be great.
That would be the best way for us to see it. So Karen is on Instagram at Karen Elaine Creative, and then Yasutomo on Instagram. We are at, oh, you know what? Actually, let me double check. We are at Yasutomo_art, which I'll add to that pinned comment too, just for reference. But yeah, I think we're doing good. So thank you.
Oh yeah, and so one little quick thing too, I just want to share. When you're working on your palettes, you notice there's a little stain here that happens. Some of the colors are staining, and that's why that's why I like to do stain tests to see which colors are staining and which aren't. And that is, if you just take some color, the last thing I wanted to tell you, if I want to do a staining test on this, which I could, I'll do it on something else. Let's see, I'll do it on this, but let me show you what I mean. You take your color, whatever you swatched, and you take a clean brush, totally clean, and take some water and just put it right in one part of it, and just kind of slightly, just saturate it a little bit, clean your brush out, and then maybe again go over like this. And then the very last part is then take a clean towel or a napkin or whatever you got, and then press in. And there's a slight shifting. If there's not much color lift on this paper, and that means there's some staining, and also the paper maybe is not as sized as some other papers are, but that's just a way to see how it stains. And the reason I brought that up before we hang up is sometimes you'll see a little bit of a stain that you can't get off of your palette, and sometimes, I know that drives me nuts, so I have a secret. If you want to get rid of that, take, the magic erasers that you get at the grocery store. They're called magic erasers. I use that, and it takes that off, and it doesn't change the finish of the palette. So I wanted to let you know that you can just use your magic erasers, and everything gets clean again.